Good morning, sir. Well done, well done. And of course, if you could tell me what the totality of that phrase, if you could recall, because I know on the spur of the moment people say things, and next thing, of course, you say, "Well, that came from me."
Yeah. Morning, Andy. Morning, Lennox. Thanks for calling in and for calling me and having me on the show. So, a couple of things. Number one, well, the phrase was, if you recall, MP for Diego Martin, Northeast, he attempted to try to stop my contribution by saying that what I was speaking about was a sub judice matter. And then, of course, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Minister Sobers would have quickly and promptly done the research and realized that the matter was in fact dismissed. But Mbert tried to assert that because I was new, right? Because if you realize what his objection was, he said, Standing Order 49.6, Tapatel sub judice, he's new. Remember, he's new, right? So my response to him was, do not obfuscate my novelty in Parliament for my ability to put a good looking on all here.
Yes.
I see.
Yes.
All right, okay. Okay. I see. You know, right, okay. I didn't get clear in the video. Yes. Yeah.
Go ahead, Mr. Elder. Go ahead.
Tell us what. First and foremost, of course, you are a minister in the Ministry of Public Utilities. Is it?
Yes.
Yeah. Tell us what you have discovered. What are some of the challenges?
Wait. Before you go to that,
you have encountered so far.
The maiden. We go to the ministry just now, man. Everybody it all over TikTok, it all over this. When you started your man,
are you like Bacchanal?
Nobody. Hear the man. Hear Mr. Elder. Where was the phone line? Where was the phone line for the protection workers? When the hotline for the communication workers? Where was the hotline? Oh God, for the people in the COVID. Where was? Oh God, what? Talk to me now, man. First we want to hear about that Maiden Street. Where you going? Tell us what gave that belly now, man. What? Yeah.
And how much cricketers you know in history could make 100 and at the same time take a wicket like that?
Boy, you break records and take wickets. That's why you shut down the dance there. You know that was it. You lead and everybody had to follow when you're done there, you know. The storm pass, a category 7 pass through, nothing left standing up after you're done. I know I'm telling you, boy.
You see, Andy and Leonard, the PNM believed that they will continue with the arrogance and with the disrespect and disregard for people that they engage in for the last 10 years. And they believe that will continue with impunity. And they believe that what they were doing, that nobody could tell them because they were bigger than everybody else, and they were arrogant to the point where it was bordering on hubris. And once I got the opportunity to deal with them in that kind of manner, I had to, and I was compelled to let them know exactly how the workers of this country felt. And I was not going to give up that opportunity to let them know, especially in Bert, how this country still feels about what he and the PNM did to us for the last 10 years. And every chance I get to remind him and this population about what we went through for the last 10 years, I will do it. And I'm passionate about it because I suffered too. Because as the Secretary General of the Union, as I was then, we have a collective agreement and we have laws that says you cannot retrench a sitting Secretary General because that will tantamount to persecution. And that is exactly what they did. And now they're coming to create a political victimization hotline for people who get fired, for them to call and for them to access services. But what the hell was the hotline? When workers in this country were getting fired left, right, and center, what was the hotline for them? So you didn't care about us then, but you want to care about us now only because you're in opposition. That ain't going to work with me. That will not fly with me. And I will not allow them to escape unscathed and feel that they could fool the population after letting us suffer for 10 years, and now you want to come in the last 5 weeks to make we feel that because penny day, that the PNM care. The PNM does not care, and it does not matter who is leading the PNM. It does not matter to them. All their business about is fooling the population to try to get back in power. And they will do anything between now and the next 5 years to destabilize this country and this government to do it. And I will not allow them at no point in time, once I am there and I have health and strength, to get away with things like that, where they're trying to fool people, especially workers, to make you feel that they care. The other thing is that they packed a number of state agencies. They packed it with political appointees. And when we come now and we get rid of those political appointees, which we are entitled to do, which we will do, and I make my apologies for saying that, even as a former trade union leader, when we get rid of those people, selling a kind of fear as if, especially Arwari, kind of fear as there's going to be mass firings in CPEP, and mass firings here, mass firings there. But the reason I can say that because he knows what they did. He knows that 2 days before election, that they give CPEP contractors a 3-year contract, even though some of the contract was not about to expire. He knows they did that. And we will not allow them to continue doing that and to continue misrepresenting the facts to the people. Because he didn't tell you, and he will not tell you, that yes, firings will take place, but because of they put people in position deliberately to try to destabilize this government should we win, because they know the writing was on the wall for them. They knew it. And we will not let anyone, let alone Faris Alwari and a bunch of PNM cronies, do anything, whether past, present, or future, to destabilize this work that we have started in government. And if they didn't realize, they better realize it now, that the Honorable Kamala Prasad Bisesa, this time around, is not the same Kamala Prasad Bisesa from 2010 to 2015. And the people who she has around her, and the government she has elected, is not the same set of people who was there before. We are more vigilant, we are more militant, we are more focused, we are more committed, we are more dedicated, we are more passionate, and we care about the people to the point where I'm confident that this 5-year term is just in a series of 5-year terms to come forward.
Nice. Before I go on to the next question, which is public utilities, that the last one you'll answer. What would you have to say? If you could answer, you will answer. If you cannot, you cannot. On the basis of your union was not in June elections, that was not supporting you at all. And I am a grassroots like you. And I know if I was in your union now, seeing where become and seeing that your vision was always real, I felt that they're supposed to feel a how and now embrace and put what wrong right. They did not supported you on your vibe for becoming the MP and to be in government at this point in time. The distance itself. How you feel about that? And or you could bypass that based on you being a former. How you feel about that? Because the next question will be, our baby, which was TSTT, B Mobile, them was bigger than Digicel. That was making money. And the PNM mash up that whole thing, boy. Where other outside companies doing better than we own local. Do you intend to use your influence as an MP, as a former communication man, to bring back the glory days of B Mobile and our TSTT? That is one question there. And the next one is, how do you feel about your former union distancing themselves from you? Like if it is they were supporting the PNM in my book, that's how it come across to me. What's your thoughts on those two things?
So let me start with the second one first, Andy. For those who have followed the history of the Communication Workers Union, at a point in time in our history, we were led by someone who was also a PNM senator while leading the union, and we were in fact known as party group number 13 of the PNM. Under Lyle Townsend, we were able to remove ourselves from that setup, that situation. And since then to now, the union has attempted to do its best to remain free of any political party. So what would have transpired is that when I would have gone into politics, and I would have aligned myself deliberately without any apology at all. I want to add that to the United National Congress. The union leadership found it necessary to say, well, okay, our former leader has now gone into politics. He's with the UNC. We distance ourselves from that. We remain independent of any political party, and his aspirations are his. That has nothing to do with the union, and we distance ourselves from him. And that's a position that the union has articulated for a number of years since removing itself from under the leadership of Carlton as a PNM senator and attempting as best as possible to remain independent of any political party. Right? So that's all I'll say on that. There's more I can say, but that's all I want to say now, because I don't wish to engage in any public spat with a union which I once led at a point in time.
Yes.
And that's all I'll say on that.
That is very responsible of you. And now the next thing, which is I just hurt because when B Mobile was real saying thing and TSTT was real saying thing, boy, we used to get nice offers from Digicel because it had competition. You understand?
Yes.
It had real employment. We was doing well. TSTT and B Mobile was making millions of billions of dollars. And then all of a sudden, these people degrade the thing. It hardly any store, hardly a workers. Tell them make a foreign company, Digicel, come and get better than TSTT, boy. B Mobile, boy. That hurts. It hurts.
I understand totally how you feel, Andy. I want to say a couple of things on this point. And I didn't make the point in Parliament. Where was the hotline for me when they threw me out of TSTT? I want to say the first thing I want to let the people know is that my entry into politics and as a minister of government is not to seek retribution on TSTT. That's not my focus. I'm not going there to say, hey, or let's come out, I come to do it all now. Let me get my revenge and my retribution. That is not what I went in there for. Which brings me to the point that you're making now, Andy. TSTT has been a company that has always been close and dear to me for a number of reasons. Of course, I worked there. I built my life and my career in trade unionism because of my involvement in TSTT. So it's a company that's dear to me, and it's a company that I want to see return to the days of profitability and glory that you are speaking about, Andy, before the PNM interfered with it to the point where it is now not even a proper shadow of itself. I think with the Minister of Public Utilities, the Honorable Mr. Barry Padarat, as the Minister, and I as Minister in the Ministry, and of course our Parliamentary Secretary, Ms. Shivana Sam, the MP for Komoto, I think that ministerial team, along with the board of TSTT, will do our utmost best to ensure that TSTT, as one, an entity under the Ministry of Public Utilities, and two, as an entity that is 51% owned by the state, that we will do our best to make sure that that company returns, if not to the days it was before, as close as possible, or even better than the days it used to be before, where it was lucrative, profitable, and where, as you said, Andy, people could have benefited from it. That is not the case anymore. There are few who benefited from TSTT right now. I have an idea of who those few are, and that's the strength that I bring into the ministry, because some of these companies like TSTT, because I have an intimate knowledge of the persons who are employed there, I have an intimate knowledge of the workings of what's going on there, then we know where to focus our attention, and we know how to ensure that things are done that is going to redound to the best interest of TSTT and to the people of Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah, man. Right? Yeah, boy. You make me feel good there, boy. I feel like I win a jackpot, boy, because it always hurt, boy. We own company, boy, that was big. What's my blossoming, boy? TSTT, B Mobile, boy. And then people and them crash that, you know, boy.
Deliberately.
Yes, Andy, I understand, of course, the emotional attachment and the nationalistic fervor associated there. But we have another issue as well, WASA. And of course, there are certain statements that would have been made. That is under your portfolio as well. Could you give us an idea as to what is happening? Because we have some very disquieting information about pumps and and a number of other issues such as the silting of rivers and creating, of course, clogs. And then, of course, you have the whole question of the desalination plant and its efficacy to deliver water, even with, of course, the poor infrastructure that you might have inherited. So, could you give us an idea? In the abundance of water these days, it appears that some communities are thirsty.
Yes. So Lennox, let me say that we just appointed about 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, we just appointed the board of WASA. And
Yes.
I would want the board to go in and do their work first and look at what is taking place in WASA, report back to us, and then we can adequately and properly respond and report to the general public. There are some issues that the public will already know about, but I like to comment when I have the fullness of the information. I do not yet have the fullness of the information because we as ministers cannot go into WASA and just manage the place as we see fit. That's why we put a board there. We give the board certain mandates, certain instructions. They are about to take up that role to continue the work that we want them to do, because we gave the instructions. We had a meeting with them, and I will want them to first go in there, do the investigation, do the collecting of information, report back to us, and then when we give a comprehensive report on WASA, the population will get a proper understanding of fullness of the of the issues that are taking place in WASA. What I can tell you, though, is that this government is ready, is prepared, and committed to ensuring that the areas that are thirsty will be satisfied with the abundance of water that we'll be getting in the not too distant future. That is something that is a high priority for us, ensuring that we have water for all in this country. And it makes little sense to me, and any expert will tell you, that as a small country surrounded, and not just a country, as an island surrounded by water, that even in the dry season we have problems with water. That makes no sense to me.
Thank you so much, Minister.
And the risk, just a final one, at the risk of course, of a similar scenario with respect to TNTech, because we are hearing a number of things surrounding TNTech and some of the finances, and of course the lack of payment of the statutory responsibility, and the question of increase in, of course, electricity rates and so on. What is the situation there? Having regard, of course, subject to, of course, any impediment to prevent you from, of course, doing a comprehensive or responding to this particular question?
Well, TNTech and the electricity rates cannot be responded to without making reference to the Regulated Industries Commission, because, as you know, the RIC would have done its work prior to the election and made a recommendation to the previous cabinet to increase the electricity rates and other different recommendations that have made concerning TNTech. What I can tell you is that at this time, the government's position is that we are not prepared to increase the rate of electricity at this time, at least until the service to the people of Trinidad and Tobago improves and improves considerably. So we are doing our best.
And the same thing.
And then
the same thing was, sir. Same thing was, sir.
Well, the same thing was, right? Until and unless service is not improved to the people, then you cannot, from a moral point, from our position, say, well, I'm giving you bad service, but I want to pay me more. If it is, I'm giving you better service than you're getting before, but in order to give you even better service again, and you need to pay more or to adjust the rate structure or the payment structure or the pricing structure, however you want to call it. And therefore, because of me giving you better service, you will have to pay something a little more, which, mind you, people wouldn't mind paying something more if the service is better. But if you're not getting water and you're being asked to pay more for water, that makes no sense. If you're not getting a proper supply of electricity, but yet you're being asked to pay for better electricity, for more electricity, that makes no sense. But if you have a reliable supply of water, electricity, whatever it is, and to make it even better, you're being asked to pay a little more. Then people say, okay, fine, it's going good, so I don't mind for it to keep going good, I'll pay a little more. because I'm getting value for money, right? But I can tell you
There's
that some of these entities,
a final one for me. There's a school of thought that says that Alwari, in particular, has been, of course, generating these dog whistles and maybe talking in terms of the dogs of war to sycophants and those persons who may be sympathetic to the PNM, because we have a situation where he has been talking about mass retrenchment, but the concern is that here it is, there are political appointees, and as you mentioned earlier, of course, a similar, what I consider to be inhospitable or untenable situation developed just before the elections of the 28th of April. But is the government concerned, because there may be some kind of security issues associated with that? Because, of course, as I said, they are saying that dog whistle to elements to take a particular course of action, maybe to deflect deflect away from their own iniquities. They're attempting, of course, to generate this kind of what I consider to be instability, frankly. Could you tell us if the government is looking at it from a security perspective, as well as, of course, responding to the validity or the veracity of what he is saying in terms of mass retrenchment, when in fact it is all about, of course, looking at, and the government has a right so to do, and that is to treat with those persons who are political appointees as distinct from the general employees who might be part of the team, etc.
Yeah, well, let me say that it is not for me to comment on national security issues. That's for the ministers of Homeland Security, Defense, and Justice, as well as the Attorney General from time to time to do that, along with the Prime Minister, of course. But I can tell you that it's not lost on us as a government that the PNM will do anything in its power to attempt to take away from the work and progress of this government, to try to destabilize this country as best as they can to return to power. And it is not lost on us that as a wounded animal, and you see the infighting that's taking place even within their own party, that they will do their best to destabilize and to stymie as best as they can the work and the progress of this government. We will do what we have to do. We will investigate what we have to investigate. And we will ensure that everything that we do is according to process, is able to withstand scrutiny, is above board, and we will defend the rights of the citizens of this country with the full might and power of the government, without apology.
Nice, very good. One more question I would like to ask quick.
I like that talk. I like that response. Thanks very much, of course.
Wait. One more question I would like to ask. That is dear to my heart, Lennox Smith. Very dear. I like the idea that, Mr. Elder, you being in public utilities, you and my brother Barry Paradap and all those various things. I like the idea where it state that that the government stated, we wouldn't raise no bills until we get any service that is deserving to the bills, such as, let me say, WASA will organize and put meters on private homes too, which will be good. All right, no problem. WASA is facing a crisis, and TNTech and all them things is facing a crisis in order to provide the services necessary based on money, right? And every little thing, they always want to cut the small man lights, cut the small man water and all those things. When it have big industries that making millions of dollars owing the government, what this government intend to do with those big lucrative industries that are owing you all millions, that you all not cutting their lights, their water, but the small man who can't pay, we lights and we water getting cut. What you all have in place for that aspect? That one all close to my, remember it's a grassroots like US, so them is the things that I just find is advantageous. Go ahead.
Andy, again, it will be irresponsible of me to respond from a policy position on that, because I can tell you that there's no real policy on that. It will come from the board of TNTech. Now, I want to make this point. There are members of the last board of TNTech who has refused to resign up to this day. You will see last week, some time ago, the OWT would have staged protests in front of Tiantec, calling on the board to resign and allow the government to appoint the new board and to get the work of Tiantec going. Because some of them who, for whatever reason in their own mind, believe that they're entitled to a position, even though they were politically appointed, and they're not moving, and they refuse to move, and they are doing their best to stymie the work of this government. I want to tell you that we will not allow them to do that. That you could do what you want, but not for as long as you want. And the time where they could no longer do what they want, that time has come. And therefore, when we put a board in place at Tiantec, that board will then decide on the different avenues that they will want to take to ensure that they recover whatever arrears that is owing to those entities by whoever it is owing those entities. I can tell you that some of the people owing entities are in fact state entities. So it's a matter of the state owing the state, right? So in those instances, you may not, and you will not have issues where you go and disconnect the state because the state disconnect the state. You'll have dialogue to ensure things are done and that to ensure that there are transfers made from one department to another department to ensure that whether it's WASAT, TNTEC, TSTT, MTS, whoever it is, whichever state entity it is, that we get what is owed to us as state entities. But there, as you said, there may be also big businesses that will be owing the state or these entities or these enterprises. And because of the size of the business, because of the kind of work that they do, because whatever the reason might be, they will not be immediately disconnected. And therefore, there are certain leeways given to them. And I suppose the issue of Andy is that leeway is given to those big businesses, not given to the small man. And that will be looked at, but that will be looked at from a board perspective. It's something that I cannot comment on to say, well, okay, this is what's going to happen from tomorrow, from next week, or from next month. I can't, from an honest position, sit here and tell you that's what's going to happen from tomorrow.
Nice. Last question, because I know you're busy and you have to go, right? But asking some nice questions here. Now, put the rest for us in Trinidad and Tobago that are locked on. Your supporters in Labre, our MP for Point 14, for matter of fact, all MPs in Trinidad and Tobago under the declaration of interest, the supporters is getting wary. They are seen in some people book. I will understand, Lennox will understand if we go. But in some people book, you all are taking long to get rid of the political appointees. And is it that they're entrenched there by law? Or is it that you all giving them a little time before you all use the iron handle or however we call political appointees, and you all your activists, your supporters, the people that have to get the positions because they understand your program and policies of this government. The people that was appointed by the PNM was appointed because they in Kura and they are PNM playing talk bad manners, and they are Kura with the program and policies of the PNM. And now the UNC and yourselves and the union and everybody want to place the people in boards that are Kura with all your policies and whatever. They are getting impatient. Please talk to them, but let them don't be so wary. But at least all they can give them a timeline when they go start to really and truly put the people in boards. There's some of them places clean up where really and truly will commit your policies.
Well, Andy, keep in mind that there are many boards that are appointed, not one or not two or not three. Every ministry has, in some cases, more than 10 boards under them, right? And therefore, and those boards, you need to get, in some cases, 9, some cases might be 11, some cases might be 10. The numbers will depend and vary on who you need to appoint to those boards. And therefore, what you'll want to do, and any responsible government will want to do, is to ensure, because everybody, mind you, everybody knows is a UNCA. Everybody knows support the UNCA. Everybody we talk to, I support all you, I vote for all you. They could be a staunch PNM. They're looking for work. You understand? And they want to ensure their survival as best as they can. And everybody's a UNC now, right? And therefore, what we need to is that we as a government need to ensure that the people we are putting on board are people who we know for sure will carry out the mandate of the government, people who we know for sure are those who will support the policies of the government, right? And not just put in anybody on boards because people say that they support and people say that they campaign and people say that they vote for we. You understand? So that is going to take some time, number one. And number two, there are people who are in positions who are politically appointed, but they have a contract saying, okay, you're appointed by this entity or that entity, right? But we know that they were politically appointed, and therefore there are certain processes that has to be observed and followed in accordance with good and proper industrial relations principles and practices. And once those processes are followed, which is going to take some time, then we will begin to then appoint persons in positions that are politically appointed positions. We're going to appoint persons in those positions to carry out the mandate of the government. Yes? So I want to just say to those supporters who are a little bit agitated because we are in government 6 weeks now and they find something should have happened already. I understand that thinking, I understand that point of view, but at the same time, the government cannot be simply irresponsible in how we go about making these appointments and how we go about ensuring that we take care of our own. But at the same time, we have to be responsible in how we do it. And that's why we're doing our best to do what we have to do to satisfy that need, but at the same time, to be responsible and not put the government in a position where the Canada is going to cost us more than the federal.
Well, boy, I ain't gonna lie now. You cool on everybody more than everybody else, but I ain't gonna lie. It's maiden in everything, boy. Lennox Smith, your closing comments.
I am satisfied.
Yeah,
I am satisfied. He has placated, of course, the concern. Not that we weren't aware, but it was more perceptive. But now that we are hearing it from the horse's mouth, then, of course, we can rest assured that things are working, but not as fast as they would like to work, but that was because of the impediments and some of the hurdles that they have encountered, which of course is understandable. It's not their doing, but of course there are people who are unprincipled, like as we have heard with respect. I wasn't aware that the TNTech board was recalcitrant as well. So So I know at the end of the day, the government will win out. It is the government. Let's not waste time with that. With a massive mandate, and they will have to conform reluctantly. And that is the reality of our situation. So thank you very much, of course, for gracing us with your presence and the very enlightened, information that the population, I'm sure, will appreciate.
The man go along the supporters too.
For those persons who are part and parcel and are dedicated to the UNC and the coalition of interest, well, I think I'm sure you are much more, should I say, understanding now, having regard, of course, to what was just told to us.
Nice. Your closing comments, my brother, Mr. Handel. Your closing comments to the people of Trinidad and Tobago, Guile, Trinidad and Tobago, Gal, the Caribbean, and all the social media platforms. Man, I ain't gonna lie, boy. Whoa, you're good. Go ahead.
It will be remiss of me if I don't, because I didn't say it before, but it will be remiss of me if I close this program. I don't say thanks to the people of Trinidad and Tobago who would have supported us and supported us overwhelmingly to ensure that Trinidad and Tobago breathes a sigh of relief and that we get a better life and standard of living in Trinidad and Tobago. I ask you to just bear with us a little while longer. Those of us who are supporters of the party and feel that enough is not being done, right? So just bear with us a little while longer. We are going to keep our promises. We have begun to keep our promises, as you see, with the first three issues that we have brought about in Parliament. That is the Children Life Fund, the TTRA, as well as the appointment of a commissioner of police, right? All of those things are part and parcel of keeping our promise. And as you can see, only 6 weeks. And this government is working for you and keeping our promises. And give us the rest of the 5 years, and you'll be amazed of how transformed in a positive way Trinidad and Tobago is going to be. And I'm sure that at the next election, we'll win even more convincingly than we did in this one. So thank you for having me, gentlemen, and all the best.
Nice. You was born for this, and you are a leader, my brother. Thanks so much.